How's it going, everybody? I'm Drifty from Driftwood Gaming. In this RPG Maker MV tutorial, we're going to be taking a look at Map Importer, and we're going to cover the things that the other tutorial, I'm going to put a link in the description below to the original material. After you've seen that video and you're wondering, well, I've got it to work with this map, but how do I figure out how many frames or how many pixels are in each frame, and basically, how do I find a picture and then make it a map without, too much work, right? So that's what we're going to be doing in this tutorial. So let's look at some examples of something we can do with a different tile set. So this is Tales of Fantasia map, and it's a very, very small map, but you can see the same process was applied to it, and you can create a map like that. So let's go through, and I had to modify this to make it work, to make this fit. So I'll show you what I basically did. Okay, let's take this problem for example. We've got Tales of Fantasia Forest.gif we found on the internet. It's almost like a tile set we want, but there's a problem with it. We've got these little black bars on the sides here. We don't want these black bars. We also have to make sure that it lines up perfectly with the resolution to divide by 16. And if we look at this resolution with the black bars, strangely enough, it does. 256 divided by 16, that's 16. And then we can look at 224 divided by 16. That's also going to divide evenly to 14. So that works fine, but we need to get rid of the black bars. How would we do that? Well, we can see I've already figured this problem out because you saw it in RPG Maker already. But if we change the resolution to 240 to 240 by stretching it out. But how did I do this in the first place? So in Photoshop, I basically just opened it up in Photoshop. So there we have it. We've got it loaded in here with the black bars. What we want to do is change the resolution, so we're going to have to do some guesswork. The best thing that I could say is, if you have Photoshop, is get this selector tool and then select every pixel that's not the black box. So we're going to actually get rid of some of the X as well. We might have to stretch it out a little bit. So we get that selected, we press Control X, that cuts it. And if we go File New, it's going to use the resolution of what you cut. So we'll take that and then we'll paste that. So now we've got this resolution. And if we go to Image, we can say Image Size and look at our resolution. We'll take our calculator and say 240 divided by 16, that's 15. 222 divided by 16, that's 13.875. Now this doesn't work. Right, so what we're gonna do is try to get this to round up to 14. So we're gonna keep adding to this. So we're just gonna keep guessing, and then, I've already figured it out. It goes up to 240, and then you raise it to 240. Then you still have the same thing, 240 divided by 16. So you have a 15 by 15 size map. So that's what you do. And how I got rid of that is it creates a tile set. So I just changed the map using the tile set, so you don't see the guy on there. It's pretty simple. Yeah, there we go. Let's start at the beginning. You've got the program, the map importer installed, and it'll come with in a zip file, and it'll come with a few things in here. The thing you're going to be using is this run_tilemaker.bat, but you're going to need some images, right? So I've went to the ye old Google and found some images of different maps from different games and stuff, and basically gone through the process a couple times just so I can understand how it works, and then I can show you how to do it. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to take one of these. I've decided this one. We're going to take this map here. First thing we're going to do is get its resolution. So right click it, go to properties, go over to details, and then look at the dimension of it. So we can see that this dimension is 2432 by 2000. So we have to figure out the pixel density. Like how many pixels are in each image. So we can do that multiple ways. One way, you can open up your image editing software and look at inside of one tile and sort of count. Control and a plus, you can zoom in, and if you can kind of see one tile, you'll be able to count the pixels across. So you can see, let's see, it's kind of a little bit of guesswork where one starts and one ends. And the better the tile set, the harder it will be to figure that out. But you can get a good approximation. Most likely it's either 16, 24, or 32. But we'll take maybe just the across here. So I'm going to zoom in on right here. and basically just count across 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So we've got 16 from here to here, and then probably another 16 from there to there. So this could be a 32 by 32 image, or it could be a 16 by 16. If I had to guess, I'm going to say 32 by 32. So let's go with 32 by 32. If it divides up evenly, then we don't have to edit image size or anything. So 2432, which I checked, it does divide equal into 16 and 30. So we'll say that x divided by 32 is 76 frames. It's an even number, so that'll work fine. And then 2000 divided by 32, 62 and a half. So that doesn't work. It doesn't work in 32, but it will work with 16. So if we go 2000 divided by 16, then that works. So 2432 divided by 16, that works. So I'm going to jump to the conclusion that this isn't a 32 by 32, it's a 16 by 16, but we'll figure it out. It could be a 32 by 32 and this is just off by a little bit, and we may have to edit it in Photoshop, but we'll jump through the process of how to do that. So let's open up run tilemaker.bat. We're going to enter a file name for the map image, and the map image we are going to be using is mkr_map-full.png. Now, if this is a JPEG or a GIF or something else, GIF, whatever, you can open it up in Photoshop and save it as a PNG. That's all you really got to do. So we'll hit OK on that file name. A name for this project, we're just going to call it MKR, max tile width. So we did the math, right? So we have to figure out what's the width of it. So we can go, our width is 2432, and we're going to say divided by 16. And we're going to say 152 is our width. So we're going to give that, pass that number in, 152. Enter a max tile height. Well, we'll see our height is 2000. 2000 divided by 16. Then we got 125. So we're going to say 125. Original tile size, we've decided that it's 16 pixels. So is this okay? We'll say yes. It's going to do its magic, work its thing. And we've got our method to figure it out. I want to go over one more method when it doesn't add up equally. So another thing in this is they're moving water tiles on the map, and I'm going to say, yeah, why not? So we'll say yes, hit Y. It's going to generate, it's going to ask us, so by doing that first part, it generated a tile set. It should have put it in here somewhere. And once it's done that, what we need to do is find the water that we're looking for. So we'll open it up and we can see X is left to right, Y is up and down. So we can use any of these tiles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to say 5. So 5, 1. X5, Y1. So 5, 1. So let's jump back into our thing and say, where's the position of the water? And the X, well, we'll say X is going to be 5. And then for the Y, we're going to say 1. We're using 5, 1, yes. Now it's going to make us another image to go into a different folder. So here it is. It made the water image. So basically now what we need to do is move our, the program's going to say enter, and it's going to give you the steps. Follow these steps, but I'll basically go through the project, the thing, and how you do it. So basically copy the last thing it made. Go to your game, open project, which I've already done, and then go into your IMG, and then you want to go to your parallax and paste that in there, and then you want to go to get the tile set that it created. Here it's called T_MKR_tile set. So we'll copy this, and then we will go into the other folder and go into tile sets. And we're going to paste that into tile sets. Got it. So the next thing we need to do is jump into MV, and we're going to go into our database and go to tile sets, and we're going to change the maximum, increase that. We're going to name it whatever you want, really, MKR, because that's what it recommended in the setup. I don't think it really matters. It has to select B. You have to select B for it to work. So TMKR tile set, that's the one we just created. And then we can see it's right here on B. Now we're also going to need to edit this if you want to make it so that the player can't walk on all of the tiles, right? So you'll have to come in here and modify whatever you want to be, blocked off. Alright, so that's set up. It also makes the water transparent because you have to set it as a background. You could say no and it won't make the thing transparent. So once we've got that, we're going to hit OK. We're going to, you know, pretend I've got all these tags set up perfectly. We're going to right click and insert a new map. We'll say new. And we will call it mkr. It doesn't really matter, right? Whatever map you're using. Now we need to set the width and the height the same as what we used that we input. So luckily it stores those values and gives them to you right here. So it says width of 152 and height of 125. So we're going to say width 152, height 125, and we need to select the tile set we wanted. If you want a loop, you can set that there. You select if you said yes, then you're going to want to include this as a parallax. If you want to make it loop, you can. We'll make it loop vertically and also horizontally. And so that's there. We're going to hit OK, and it's going to bring up the size map, but it's going to be an empty map. So we hit save, and now we close the project. Okay, so what we've done when we saved is we've made a new file in our project. So game open folder, you should still have it open. Go to your data, and look at the most recent map, the highest number map. Now be careful when doing this. Do this at your own discretion. Do this at your own peril. You will inject, if the file, it probably has some safety to stop you, but you can inject data into a map that you spent hours and days creating and masterfully making, and then it just ruins it. So back up your project if you're unsure of what you're doing here. But basically, if you just created a new map, it should be the most recent map in that project. So map 005 for me. Also, if you're not sure, you could open up and look at the map properties, and it will tell you the map number. It'll say 005 on that, so you can specifically see. I'll show you when we jump back into it. But anyway, what you want to do is drag and drop it. You could type it all out, but it's really easy just to find the map file, the JSON file, and drop it in there. Once you've done that, click up here and then enter. Is that file correct? Say yes. Now it's injecting the data. It says start, done, cleaning the file. It says congratulations, it seemed to have worked. We can press enter, it closes that program. Now what we want to do is go back and open the game by double clicking on game.rpg project, or launching it and just opening it, and it should, there it is, hey, we got it. So now we need to test to see if it's aligned correctly and if it actually worked right. So let's zoom in 1-1 and make our starting position. It looks like it, yeah, it did. It certainly did. So we'll hit save. We'll go ahead and jump into our project. And you can see we haven't set up our collision. Well, some of it we have. But we also have a problem, right? The fact that it's using the same color in the mountains that it is on the water, it made it transparent. And now we have a transparent kind of thing on the mountains. So this map has been ruined. We'll have to redo it. And instead, we could either edit that. No, okay, let's take this problem. Say this was the only problem we had and we needed this map. How would we fix this problem? Well, all we have to do is change the color that this map is using. So we'll take a specific note of the tiles that are being set as transparent, the pixels. We can see 1, 2, 3, 4 of them are being set as transparent. So reason being is the color scheme that we picked for our transparent tile is also using those same colors in here. So we can do this multiple ways. We can select a different tile for our transparency or in the editor and rerun that, or we can edit the file itself and change the colors on the mountains. Now it's probably going to be easier to just pick a different file than edit this in Photoshop now that I think about it. So let's run through this again very quickly. So now that we've got this opened up, we can see where we're having some transparency issues. So you can kind of use the game running. You're going to have it open to see where the transparency problems are actually located. So what you want to do is open up the tile set that's being used for this particular one. So I just went inside my the game IMG tile sets, and then I found the one I was using. And then I zoomed in with Control Plus and just zoomed in on that. So I can see I have some transparency issue on the building. That's the first thing I noticed of the mountains. But let's take a look at the building. So we have 2 pixels that are set to transparent. So how you'd fix that is you could just use the eyedropper tool. Yeah, you want to soak up the colors next to it, and you should get a white color or whatever color's next to it, and then go to the pencil tool and just kind of draw that in. Draw that in. You can even zoom in further to see if you get where exactly you're getting that transparency. So let's see that, and then at the top too, there's some. Is it this little gray dot? Maybe it's this gray spot. Perhaps it's that. Okay. It might even be on another spot of the map. We'll check. Let's zoom out a little bit. It could be down here actually. So let's zoom into that spot. Yeah, and we'll hit this spot as well. You can see the little pixels that are transparent. It's a little meticulous, but it's not too bad. Over here I could see those gray. The same one. You'd use your eyedropper tool, select a color that's close to it, and then color over the spots that appear to be transparent. And trying not to mess up the artwork too much. This little gray dot to me might be a signal that it's transparent. So let's zoom out once again. And you'll kind of keep this open as you're playing through your game if you want to fix your transparency issues like that. And I'll show you what you can do to... that's if you want to keep the moving water, right? I haven't set up any collision yet on the tile set yet. But you can see this is with the moving water. You can just basically say no, that you don't want to have that, which I've already done, so I could just change it right here. On the map, we'll go to the tile set, and I've already made one for MKR2 that doesn't have a... Why do I keep going to plugins? On the tile set here. So this one is not transparent, and this one is transparent. You can see the water color. So when you say yes, it makes that tile color, the whole tile, transparent. So I selected this one, so it made all of that white color. So I should have probably selected, well, even if I would have selected one of these, because it has different colors in it, it might look funky. You know, it might make some of your buildings have that transparency as well. So you just open up the modified file, and you know, in GIMP or Photoshop, whatever, and you look for those transparencies in your, as you test play your game, you run around and you see where the transparency issues are in the mountains, and then you adjust them there. And we can save this file now. I think there's some more spots in the mountains that I missed, so let's just hit a couple more spots in the mountains real quick, and then we'll hit save. And if you come across any more transparency issues, you just kind of do the same thing, and after you're done, you hit file save. It'll overwrite the existing one there. So if we load this now, let's see, what did I change? I made this one so that it's not, yeah, this is the static one, so you don't have any transparency issues, because this is when you say no, you know, to the program, the map importer, and you don't have the running water, the moving water. We've edited this one, the first one, so now it should fix some of them, if not all of them. It fixed some of them, but definitely not all of them. There's still plenty of transparency issues in the mountain. A few pixels, just 2 pixels right here, and then a few pixels over here. Still some more on the mountains, but you see the process. We did fix some of them. That gives us the moving water. We just gotta, you know, fix those transparencies spots on the map. But basically that's it for this tutorial. You would continue that process until you get everything hammered out. And one thing I will note about this program, the map importer, it doesn't work with every file, and sometimes when you load it up, you can tell right off the bat if it's going to work. You know, let's see, where's that run tile maker? If you put in your tile name, or you put a name and it crashes, that's because you typoed the name, so try again. If you put it in and you say yes, yes, and it goes to the next, and then it starts doing its loading thing, and it starts counting up PNG files, and it's starting to go into the thousands of how many PNG files, you might as well close it. you're gonna have to manually delete those PNG files, but it's basically gonna crash. It's not gonna work. You want to keep this as few variations as possible, so you can't just take any picture, which I've tried to do, and then put that in there and try to get that to make a tile set out of it. It will work for some. I made a tile set out of this. I made a tile set out of this. It worked. I made a tile set of, almost made a tile set of another one. Let's take a look at those in game real quick. So we got this, Final Fantasy IV that was in the example from Ben Kenobi, but I was also able to get this one to work, and then also of course this one. We got this one to work, but I also tried several other ones and I didn't quite get it to work. You can see what happened right here. If your file size isn't quite exact, it's got to level out exactly. This is a 32 by 32 that was converted. So I mean, we could get on this map, but everything's off by a little bit. It's just definitely not right, but obviously. So everything is off by a little bit. So you have to make sure that your math adds up. Everything divides to the 16 or the 32 or the 64 or the 128 evenly. Even when it does divide evenly, it doesn't always work. It creates too many variants, and then it starts going up into 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, and it takes about 10 minutes to get through all of them, and then it crashes anyway because you can only have so many variants. You got so many here, there, and it'll stack it up. And if you get more than that'll fit on here, however many that is, probably not going to export the PNG that'll work correctly. So that's it with Map Importer. There's some other little niche things with it. If you've already created a file, let's see in here. If you've already created a file and you try to do the same one again, it'll automatically crash because it creates the map.txt and it finds, I don't know, it crashes. So sometimes you have to rename a file to get it to work. It could just, I don't know, issues I'm having. It doesn't always work, but if you do the math right and you get something that doesn't have a crap ton of variants, you can get some cool tile sets. Like, especially these old Final Fantasy style, these are good ones to find. So look on Google for maps like this, and then line them up so that the file size, if you go to the properties, the file size matches 4,096. Now that will line up perfectly if you divide it by however many, so it's 16 depth, so you go 4,096 divided by 16 and you get 256. So that would be 256 steps left to right, on the X dimension, and also the same for the Y. So that's also the max file size, map, not file size, the max map size for MV as well, 256 by 256. You can go to 3,000, but you have to mess it up to do that. So 256 is the max for that, and it works out really nice. It's really cool. So this is a cool program, the Map Importer. Hopefully you guys like this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you're new here. I've got lots of different tutorials and first impression videos, all kinds of stuff. Check my playlist. I'm sure there's something you haven't seen yet. And thank you to all my Patreon subscribers. I love you guys. You guys keep me afloat. We'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.